Set your paper up for Cornell Notes. Today we're going to look at biomes. Biomes are a larger geographical set of ecosystems. Here's a map of the world biomes. We'll go through this presentation and you will become familiar with them and you'll know where they are as we go through the world this year. An ecosystem is made up of plant, animal, and the physical landscape around it. Everything is affected by everything: climate, sunlight, temperature, precipitation, elevation, soil, and landforms. If anything changes, the ecosystem changes. It has to have an adaptation. One of the problems we're seeing is the growth of human populations and how we're changing the ecosystem itself. Landscape is everything you see around it: landforms, soils, plants, animals, and if plants disappear, so would life. We're going to learn that distribution is uneven, just as the sunlight hitting the earth is uneven. Here are the divisions we're going to use for geography for biomes and ecosystems. We're going to go through each one of these as we're going through this movie, and we're going to look at forest, grasslands, aquatic we're not really going to hit on, but that is fresh and saltwater, desert, and tundra. First, we're going to look at the forest types. We've got rainforest, tropical and temperate, broadleaf, which is deciduous, coniferous, and then shrub, or the scrubby chaparral. We're hoping that with good pictures and your familiarness with the biomes, you'll be able to recognize the rainforest, the broadleaf, the shrubby, scrubby, and the coniferous forest. Rainforests are going to be on or near the equator. The average temperature is 80, and it doesn't have very much variation going on in the tropical rainforest. Rains nearly daily. Soil's infertile because of leaching, which is the draining of the soil of the nutrients because of the rain. You can find rainforest in Brazil, Puerto Rico, Indonesia. Again, we'll look at that map and you'll have an idea of where you can find rainforest. Here's a quick video discussing rainforest.
Tropical rainforest. Around the equator lies the biome known for its abundance and variety of life, the tropical rainforest. The name tropical rainforest aptly describes its place in the world, the tropics. It receives very high levels of rainfall, and its dominant life forms are trees. The annual rainfall actually varies from 100 to 160 inches, or 250 to 400 centimeters, and the temperatures average from 80 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, or 27 to 32 degrees Celsius. Here, there are no freezing temperatures and no seasons. The trees are tall with slender trunks that branch only near the top, called the canopy. The average tree height exceeds 100 feet or 30 meters. These forests contain thousands of different tree species whose broad evergreen leaves block out much of the sunlight to the forest floor. The soil here is often thin and deficient of nutrients. This is due to the surrounding life's ability to efficiently absorb the forest's decomposed organic matter. Since most of the plant food is high up in the forest's canopy, most of the large diversity of animal life lives there as well. From above come the chatter of monkeys and the calls of many species of colorful birds and frogs. Here, reptiles, mammals, and a huge variety of insects abound and participate in the fierce competition for nutrients within the warm, misty green of the tropical rainforests.
Here's a map of the rainforest. Look at Central America, Brazil, the western part of Africa, and Asia near the equator. Woods you can find in tropical rainforest include teak and mahogany. What we have in our country are broadleaf forest. In the southeast, the northeast, a lot of our forest here in the U.S. are going to be broadleaf. In the colder northern areas, it's going to be deciduous, where they lose their leaves. Warmer climates, we keep them, or they lose them, like our oaks here, lose them sometimes in the spring as the new growth is occurring. The map you see here has traditional broadleaf forest.
Temperate deciduous forest. As we continue north and south away from the equator at about 60 degrees latitude, we are able to observe cool, moist air that rises and then soon returns to Earth as rain or snow. Here the climate exhibits cold winters, warm summers, and abundant rainfall that is distributed throughout the year. The biome that experiences this climate is the temperate deciduous forest biome. It gets its name because typically the temperatures are moderate or temperate, and the dominant life forms are trees which lose their leaves, known as deciduous trees. Typically, deciduous trees such as beech, oak, maple, and hickory grow during the spring and summer, lose their leaves during autumn, and lie dormant during the winter. Since during the winter most water is locked in the cold, frozen ground, the trees must lose their leaves to prevent water loss through the process of transpiration. Bacteria, earthworms, and fungi aid in the breaking down or decomposition of the abundant leaf litter, and together contribute to the soil's rich nutrients. The forest's leafy limbs provide shelter, nuts, and seeds to a variety of bird species. Mammals such as deer, fox, squirrels, and raccoons also live here in the nutrient-rich North American temperate deciduous forest.
Here's what it looks like in our northwest, up in Washington, where there's a temperate rainforest. The map shows areas that have temperate rainforest: Japan, China, Australia, New Zealand. And then when we look over towards the Middle East and Europe and the U.S., you'll find that there are mountains or a marine west coast climate causing the temperate rainforest.
Temperate rainforest. Also in the state of California, along the cool, moist northern regions of its Pacific coast, are the world-famous giant redwoods. These majestic trees are part of the temperate rainforest biome. This climate here receives between 150 and 200 inches, or 380 and 500 centimeters, of rain annually, and the temperatures rarely drop to below freezing. With so much rainfall, along with moderate temperatures, this forest biome is appropriately named. The temperate rainforest biome is located on the northwest Pacific coast of North America and the southwestern tip of South America. This forest resembles tropical rainforests in that it contains very tall trees. Yet, unlike the tropical rainforest, the temperate rainforests are cooler and have fewer species of trees. Most of the species of trees are conifers, which means cone-bearing trees, such as redwood, spruce, fir, pine, and hemlock. Conifers thrive here better than broadleaf trees because the forest is located at higher latitudes along foggy coastlines where sunlight energy is often scarce. The needled branches do let in some sunlight for the forest floor, which supports plants such as mosses, ferns, and various forms of lichen. Supplying the acidic soil with some nutrients are the fungi, which often contribute to the decomposition process of the moist, decaying vegetation. Animals such as deer, salmon, and arachnids are also inhabitants here in the cool, damp biome of the temperate rainforest.
Temperate rainforests are going to be cooler because they're mid-latitudes, but they're going to be lush just like tropical, but you'll definitely see a different ecosystem there with the different animals. The next forest goes by many names. One is the boreal or the far northern forest. You'll see things that look like thin Christmas trees like pines and spruces, that it can be called the taiga or a snow forest.
Taiga. Moving more north in latitude and climbing higher among the mountains is the community called the taiga, or northern coniferous forest. The word taiga is a Siberian word meaning primeval forest. The dominant trees of the forest biome are conifers such as spruce, pine, fir, larch, and balsam. The climate is generally long, cold winters, allowing only a short growing season in the summer. the winters are colder and the precipitation is much less than the temperate rainforest. With much of the precipitation falling as snow, the conifers have successfully adapted to the winter's freezing temperatures. All evergreens have the ability to maintain the flow of water and nutrients within their trunks and branches throughout the year. This significant characteristic allows these trees to keep their needle-like leaves and continue the process of photosynthesis. Because of their small surface area and their waxy coating, these needle-like leaves are specialized to prevent water loss through transpiration. This is valuable to the tree's winter survival since the water outside the tree is unavailable due to the water's frozen state as ice or snow. Overall, these trees have adapted well to soil that is often very cold or very dry. Some of the animals found in these forests are caribou, deer, and elk, along with their predators, the mountain lions and timber wolves. Black bears, chipmunks, and beavers also reside in the cold evergreen world of the taiga biome.
Conifer means evergreen that bear cones, and you can find them in the places I mentioned at the northern latitudes, but you can also find mid-latitude forests that have conifers, including here in Texas at the piney woods. Chaparral forest is the last one, and we'll find that in Mediterranean climates like Southern California, the Mediterranean. Remember, this is the forest that receives little rain, like 23-25 inches a year.
Chaparral. Chaparral is part of the temperate shrubland biome, best represented by short woody plants with simple evergreen thick leaves. The name chaparral refers to the evergreen oak called the Spanish chaparral. The thick, hard, waxy leaves of these shrubs are drought-resistant and adapt well to the dry climate. Here, the winters are cool and rainy, and the summers are hot, with very little or no rain. During the winter, precipitation is great enough that it leaches the soil of much of its nutrients. Similar plant communities are found in southwestern North America, Chile, the Mediterranean coast, southern Australia, and the southern tip of Africa. The chaparral ecosystem is found well developed near the coastal areas of the state of California in the United States. The leaves of these plants, such as this sage and manzanita, are often found to be aromatic with flammable compounds. Fires here are frequent. In some plant species, fires stimulate seed germination. After the fires, the dominant shrubs regrow from surviving plant tissue found near the ground. Throughout the year, lizards, chipmunks, and great horned owls are found within this volatile temperate shrubland biome known as the chaparral.
Now we'll look at grasslands. Grasslands, there's mid-latitude, which is like our prairies, and there's tropical savannas, which is the tropical grasslands. Remember, the tropical grasslands have 3 seasons: wet, dry, and fire. Then the mid-latitudes, you've got the prairies, the steppes, the veldt in South Africa, and the pampas in Argentina.
Grasslands. The temperate grassland area, where precipitation is too sparse to support tree growth but does not fall below 10 inches or 25 centimeters per year, is called the grassland biome. This area is also known as prairie in North America, steppe in Russia and Asia, pampas in South America, and veldt in South Africa. It is believed that grasslands may have covered nearly half of the world at one time. Due to the slow decomposition rate of the grasses over thousands of years, grassland biomes are considered to have the most fertile and deepest topsoil in the world. Today, most of the grasslands are used for agriculture and produce much of the world's domesticated grasses, such as wheat. This is why these grasslands are referred to as the breadbaskets of the world. The original grasslands of North America were once grazed by large herds of bison. Today, the parts of the prairies of the central United States are grazed by cattle, horses, and sheep. Living on the underdeveloped grasslands are animals such as the pronghorn antelope, coyotes, ground squirrels, and rattlesnakes. There are also a few of the warm regions of the world where the grassland biome receives 40 to 60 inches or 100 to 150 centimeters of rain. This life zone is often referred to as the savanna biome. The scattered trees of the African savanna are acacias, baobab trees, euphorbias, and palms. The giraffe, with its long neck, has evolved to feed on these tall trees and thereby does not compete with the grazing animals such as the antelope, wildebeests, and zebras. The predators, such as lions, cheetahs, and hyenas, help maintain the balance of life during the short wet and long dry seasons of the savanna, the grassland biome.
Remember, mid-latitude grasslands are going to have hot summers, cold winters. They're often going to grow the dry grains like wheat that don't require a lot of rain. They have different names depending on where they're located at. A lot of livestock grazing will occur here, and the largest one is in Asia, and they refer to it as a steppe. This is also going to be where you're going to have the semi-arid 10 to 20 inches of rain. The other grassland we'll talk about is tropical savanna. Remember when we were doing climates, I told you to think about Lion King? These are the areas found bordering tropical rainforest and dryland areas. It's going to be the in-between. You can find them definitely in Africa. We were talking about the Serengeti. You've got the huge tropical grasslands in Africa. They're going to have those three seasons, the wet, the dry, and the fire. Dryland biomes consist of desert, the arid climate, and tundra, which is a little more wet. It's maybe 12 inches, where arid is going to be less than 10. The desert biome, some of the examples we talked about, Sonoran and Mojave, of course, then the Sahara and the Gobi. They're going to have extreme temperatures and rain under 10. Plants have to adapt to the little rainfall and having to deal with the temperatures. There's also the driest place, which is the Atacama, and it's a desert because of the coastal position it's in. The map isn't showing the desert in Europe, but all the continents have arid or dryland biome. Here in Europe, you've got it in the southeastern part of Spain.
10 inches or 25 centimeters of precipitation a year. These dry areas, which are found on every continent, are called the desert biomes. The name desert comes from the Latin word desertus, which means abandoned, forsaken, left, or lying waste. The landscape often supports little life of any kind, and the terrain is dominated by rocks, sand, and overall poor soil. Plant life varies considerably because of the great variety of desert conditions. Areas that receive more than an inch or 2 centimeters a year of rainfall have highly specialized plants. Some of these plants are annuals, plants that complete most of the life cycle in less than a year. These plants grow, bloom, and set seed in a few days when water is available. Most desert plants are perennials, plants that live for more than a year. They are small woody shrubs or succulents, like this American cactus. These plants have large, shallow root systems that are able to quickly soak up water from the infrequent desert rainstorms. Many animals have also adapted to these dry regions. Birds, snakes, tortoises, and many small rodents survive well with little water. Larger mammals also live in the desert, such as the desert bighorn sheep, which depend on water holes for their survival. Numerous desert animals are active during the night, while during the day, many of the desert animals burrow underground, all wisely avoiding the fiery heat of the hot, dry biome called the desert.
For the most part, tundra is found in the northern hemisphere, bordering North America and Russia near the Arctic and Greenland. You can also find some bordering Antarctica. It's cold all year, not a lot of life, but they do have some there. Plants like lichen and small specialized plants that we've looked at, like flowers. You can also find some alpine tundra that we looked at when we were doing climates.
Tundra. During the warmer summer months, the caribou and bighorn sheep migrate north to the treeless biome known as the tundra. The name tundra is of Lap or Russian origin and means treeless plains of northern regions. The summer landscape south of the Arctic Circle is characterized by low, dwarfed grasses and sedges arranged in a mosaic, multi-shaped pattern. For a few weeks during the summer, the day's light lasts for nearly 24 hours. But for most of the year, the dark nights are long and the climate is extremely cold and dry. The landscape is often blanketed in white for most of the winter. The annual precipitation rarely exceeds 10 inches or 25 centimeters. In many parts of the tundra, the constant low temperatures freeze the deeper layers of the ground permanently. The low temperatures also slow down the decomposition of organic matter, allowing only a thin layer of soil. Because of the short growing season and the shallow layer of thawed ground, there are no trees. When the snow melts, the water collects on the surface, forming many lakes, since the water is unable to be absorbed by the deeper layers of frozen soil. Large number of migratory birds also visit the marshy areas in the summer. The Arctic hare, fox, and owl, as well as lemmings, remain active throughout the year. Tundra biomes are also found at lower latitudes in mountaintops above the timberline. During the summer, the plant and animal communities of the alpine tundra experience intense sunshine, prevalent winds, and highly variable precipitation. For the rest of the year, the precipitation is mainly snow, a common occurrence here in the cold, dry regions known as the tundra biome.
We haven't talked about all the biomes, but for the most part we have. And as we go through the year, you'll get to know them and look at them all again.